up, everybody? I'm Jason, this is the Freebird Garage, and we are doing a Bourbons and Bike episode. It has been a full year since I've done this series. You do it towards the fall season of riding or when it just gets cold outside, because this is a great time to grab some bourbon, sit down, talk about some motorcycles. Today I got some Wild Turkey, the classic 101 rye. I love this stuff. It's a great everyday drinker. It doesn't have a crazy amount of notes into it as far as what bourbon aficionados, but for me, I just love drinking it because it tastes good in my mouth. So I prefer it neat, so we're gonna pour this up. Let's get into what we're talking about today. Cheers. Maybe I should put tequila, but then that wouldn't be bourbon and bikes, because we're talking about El Diablo, the FXR STD, whatever you want to call it, FXLR ST Diablo. However, those verbiages you want to put together that Harley does. We're talking about this bike today because it is ringing my bell, because it goes to the resemblance of the FXR, the 1984 FXRT to be exact. That red, full-bearing, camshell, beautiful-looking bike of the FXRs. I want to talk about this not just to say, oh, it's a fantastic bike, this is the iconic series or icon series, sorry Harley, whatever you want to call it, but just to generally hone into one thing, the price, because that is one thing that everyone keeps talking about, is how expensive this damn bike is. And you know what, I don't care. I'm not on a channel that has a bunch of brand new bikes. I'm not always doing review of them bikes. They're usually old busted bikes, or we're always working on my FXR. So how much can I say as a YouTuber to tell you what bike and how much? But I can tell you the facts of the pricing, because it's very intriguing to me, because it resembles the FXR, so the pricing matches back to what the FXR started off with. Meaning, back in 1984, I went and did some research, FXR Alpha on Facebook. You guys were awesome. You guys gave me some great detail and info of what I was looking for, which is how much did the FXR originally cost back in the day. Let's get some relevancy to how much that is today versus back then, or back then versus today, right? So this gentleman on this Facebook gave me an invoice sheet back in 1984. $5,800. Man, that's chump change in Harley today. That's whew, that's half the price of the old Sportster, rest in peace. But in today's money, interest rates, I went to all these inflation and all that, and they all have roughly around the same amount. It came out to be $17,000 today. It's crazy because everyone else in this group or whatever started handing me some other information from the years of when they actually bought the RFXR. I didn't realize these members were, I should say, that old on this forum, which is really cool. I figured it was going to be like, you know, myself, second generation, third generation that has this bike. But there are a lot of them that actually owned the bike originally. And the next one was a 1992 FXRS, which is the same year as my bike. And he purchased that for $12,000. So from 1984 to 1992, which is a pretty good range, obviously, and they doubled the price 8 years later. Now, we take $12,000, convert that into our modern time, we are looking at $25,000. The FXR was, compared to today's interest rates and all that stuff. Now, how much that exactly is correct, I'd assume it's pretty close. That's what everyone usually goes off of, historians, as far as what they show, what the dollar would go, they would compare this. So I have to assume that's pretty right on, or at least around there. Give or take maybe 1,000 to 1,000 above, 1,000 above. So 2,400 to 2,500, 2,600, right around there. So that's still a $25,000 bike back then. Now, they did complain that it was too expensive back then, so maybe it's just a common thing that Harley obviously has always been, the higher end bikes for what you got. I digress. Back to the Icon series. The Icon series is now $27,000, which is more on par of what a 1992 FXR ran, and that's not even the major model. I mean, you have the FXRS SP, and then you have the FXRS, or the FXRT, which gave you the full fairing, which is essentially what today's FXLR ST resembles. So you have that match to match, and pricing is pretty much right on to what they used to be. So to say that it is too expensive is becoming a little more unrelative once you start to put it all together, and what I think. So, take another drink here. The big kicker, which a lot of people, I don't know, the common folk of Harley maybe don't realize it, because if you ask them what the FXR is, they sometimes don't even know what that is. They assume it's some kind of maybe Sportster or Dynaline. In 1999, they brought back the FXR in what was the Icon series back then. They brought it back, right? So they brought back the ST, the El Diablo, the resemblance of the 1984 FXRT. They brought back the FXR, but it was called an FXR2 and an FXR3, 99 to 2000. Those sold back in 99 and 2000 for $17,000 back in 1999. Convert that to today's world, we're at $30,000. The El Diablo is at 27, or if you want to round up, 28,000, and the normal baseline ST is at 22,000. Makes a little more sense at that point. They're actually not far off from what they've always done in the past when a special model comes around. And back then though, you got a little more bang for the buck. You know, when your FXR came back around, and the CVO was the first thing that they tried it on, was the FXR. It was a thing of new ambiance of what you could get in Harleys. It had the best of chrome, it had all the flames you wanted, it had all of the gadgets that you could, you know, pretty much what Harley was giving out still today, which is basics of not even a USB back then. I don't even think a USB existed. But anyways, maybe a cup holder, lots of chrome. That they said was about around a $4,000 package that you would get with this FXR, that you would have to go through your accessory catalog and be able to add to your normal FXR, I guess, back then, because they stopped producing it and then came right out of the gate with this one. And in a pristine condition of that CVO today, will maybe sell for $14,000, maybe, you know, in the standard market. But generally speaking, what I see from 5,000 to 10,000 miles on it, you get 14,000. It really hasn't moved, and in fact has gone down on what it is worth today. The Icon is being pitched as a bike that you alone could have and nobody else. Harley's famous paint jobs that they say is worth $1 million, but is it worth the FOMO of missing out on that ambiance of the FXR that they're claiming that on their brochure, it does say for those FXR purists, this is the bike you should have. Absolutely not. Done. You do not need to buy, or you're not missing out on much, because that is a bike that you are just getting a paint job and an audio. That is it. You are increasing your speakers and you're getting a paint job. Now, is it something that if you want to stick out of the crowd rather than the normal ST? Absolutely. Is it a badass paint job? Of course it is. It is a beautiful looking paint job. They did say it was handmade, so you do get all that. I mean, you get a small package, paint plus a little audio, for an additional $6,000 over your base model ST, but you stand out from the crowd. Is it going to make it any more special down the road? I don't believe so. I don't believe you're missing out on anything. As what history showed us from the other FXRs that came along the way, doesn't matter if they came out the way that they are in the ST version now, it just isn't going to return what you're looking for. Because I think that's what the Icon series is. It's not a series that you're going to buy and you're going to ride it and then you're going to return it the next year. That defeats the purpose of the Icon series. It is a collector's item that you're going to buy. And I'm saying it now, I don't think it's any of the series of them. I'm only resembling the FXR just because that's what I ride and that's what I resemble the most out of it. And seeing what the past has, there is no FXR out there that has doubled in price. Maybe the police version of the FXR, maybe, and in like mint, 0 mileage. So your best bet is to take that Diablo, pull it off the drive, and put it right into your garage and don't touch it for 30 years. To see the true value. If you have number one, that's probably also maybe the top 5 of the one those made you maybe have a little bit more, but overall, I don't think the Icon series is worth diving into. It is a series that I think is just like most people are saying. They are not overpriced. It's just a gimmick, in my opinion. Is it a badass looking bike over the normal ST? Yes, and I already said that. So that is something to consider. I'm gonna take another drink before we dive into the other part. Hear me out. Harley, if you are listening out there, which you probably aren't, put the 131 just in the Icon series. Put it in there. You'll make a bike worth double what it is in the years to come. If no other bike gets that last stage, what is that, stage 4, I think it is per year. So the stage 4, if you put that in the Icon, that bike will be worth it. That bike will be worth $30,000. It will continuously hold because if no other bike holds that motor in it from the factory, it will hold its price. Well guys, this rye is tasting way too good. I haven't drank enough of it. And I'm gonna cheers to what we had so far. If you agree with me, appreciate it if you like it. Tell me down below. We'll describe it more. I hope you guys enjoy these series. You know, I haven't done it in a while, so this is probably new to a lot of you. So hopefully, if you like it, we'll do more. We'll talk more things. But until then, cheers. And if you have made it all the way through, I would greatly appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press the notification, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. For those that have already subscribed, thank you. And as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.